Hello and welcome to another quick look. Me, GamerWolfSix, of another furry visual novel. This one, Kingsguard, a game about tasteful nudity, I guess. We'll probably get demonetized here, but since there's no hanky-panky going on, then hopefully we're fine. So before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it for free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the news version earlier, you can go to their Patreon, where it's let's see, $2 a month. Anyways, joke aside, this game is about, as I read the synopsis, perhaps you're used to fairy tales and legends of heroes who journey to far-off lands to defeat a great evil who threatens the peace of the world. But what you will quickly find in this story is no such thing. For you see, the world is already very much at peace. So basically it's free run, Tail's End or something like that? Anyways, there may be a few bandits lying in wait on high roads, thieves who break into homes in the dead of night, and pickpockets and extortionists prowling the city streets. But there are no wars, very few famines, and certainly no evil sorcerers to stop. It couldn't be it couldn't be a more perfect time to be alive, especially for a young prince who is about to come of age and soon be rightfully chosen to lead his nation. I don't know why all of a sudden I tripped over my own tongue. Anyways, he has suffered very few plights and rides on the coattails of his father's success. But all good things must come to an end. Underneath this peaceful world, there is a bubbling mire of conspiracy that seeks to drown our prince. With the assistance of those known as the Kingsguard, selected individuals to serve as bodyguards to the royal family, the prince, who soon is forced to flee his home to escape those who would wish to end his life, to travel to an unknown world that he's only ever read about in books. His journey will be long and perilous. This is no dream come true, nor an adventure anyone would wish for, but it is one he has no choice but to see through to the end. So wait, are we all gonna get isekai'd? Maybe. I mean, it's a far-off world. Or an unknown world? Also, let me guess, Trickster, maybe Spymaster. I guess he would be the fighter barbarian guy, but then he's also Mr. Muscly guy. Anyways, enough of this tasteful nudity. Let's start the game and reset our face. King Balls. I kind of want to do that, but default name. Katan Lair Yashan. First his name. Okay, maybe. I mean, if we're... Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. If you want me to do the Let's Play of this, then tell me, and I'll give it a point which put up higher on the list. And also, if you want me to do a quick look of any other game, then tell me, and I'll put it to the thing, and put it up to the stuff. Or, let's just call him Balls, because they might call him King Balls. It might be confusing if his name is King Balls. Or Mr. King Dice? Wait, was that his name? Anyways, Balls Yasan, first of his name. Is this alright? Yes. The fourth record era of Travaillard. Today was supposed to be one of joy and celebration, yet my hand shakes as I hold the quill. A man such as I, so devoted to the gods, fearing for the future? I suppose I am only human after all. Whatever happened to my faith? When did I become so skeptical? The two above stop and never-ending war that would have left Trevor and Infernal land of corpses and ruins. We would have destroyed ourselves, no one left, not men or beastmen. They gave us salvation from torment and eternal damnation. Now, here we are, hundreds of years later, and not one war or conflict between nations since... Wow, really? My fears are unfounded. I should be hopeful, and yet... Really, hundreds of years of no war? Balls. The queen had given birth to an heir, a baby boy, a prince. It has been so long since I first heard that name, and I'd nearly forgotten. While Queen cradles him in her arms, a joyful smile, the king forces a grin on his mournful eyes. Perhaps he too has a glimpse of the trials that this child may face. The fate day now approaches. It could be weeks, months, or years, so I pray for the gods to return. If only for one day. For my son, Prince Balls. Yay! Your eyes slowly... Just keep an eye on the thing. Your eyes slowly cracked open due to all the rambunctious cheering, a cacophony of clapping, ooh-ooh, stomping feet, and shouts from both joy and anger rumble throughout your entire body. Kind of funny when you think of like when I went to zoo when I was little and the lion roared and I could feel that and my just like, wow, that guy can roar. Anyways, it should have been impossible to get any rest with all the noise, but you somehow managed to fall asleep regardless. Perhaps it wasn't so incredulous to believe though. The past few weeks had left you exhausted with all the preparations for the upcoming coronation, the kingdom's most important and revered event in over a decade. Even the most expensive and luxurious bed couldn't keep you from tossing and turning in the middle of the night. You stifled a yawn and brought your arm up to shield your eyes from the bright sun, and found your arms baked to a golden hue. The arena attendee next to you shouted especially loud in your ear, "Get him! Get him!" Haha, yeah. You see that? The man elbowed you roughly, further stirring you from your dreamlike haze. Oh, I guess the prince might have snuck out. You're having your tired eyes. You're squinting down from the top of the stands of the arena to the fight below. In the midst, sits Lorenzon's vessel, of your midday dream, you seem to have missed the most important part of the fight. Several bruised gladiators covered in blood, spit, and dirt are being hauled off the grounds, moaning in pain as they retreated, or into woo. They'll be talking about that for weeks. Ha ha. What happened? What? You're sleeping? Let's just say I have not been having the best nights lately. Bad hangover from a good drink. Or did a woman keep you up all night? I wish it was something as pleasant as that. You didn't have the courage to tell the man you were actually so tired from sneaking out of the house so early in the morning, before even the birds started chirping to see the light of the sun. It wasn't because your father had a strict curfew or anything for you. Well, he did, but anyone would forbid their only son. A prince at that, from leaving home and wandering the dangerous city streets without a bodyguard. So wait, are you being coronated as prince or something? I thought we were gonna become king or something. Yeah, no. I bet that's not gonna be living long. Oh, try not to miss anything else, or you'll be regretting it for the rest of your life. He nodded and took his advice to heart. There was plenty of time to rest when you're dead, and besides, you need to stay awake for reasons other than on fighting below. At the other end of the Colosseum, you saw a group of knights enter and spread out, getting in the way of many spectators. They were clearly searching for someone, as they roamed around, removing hoods from anyone and eyeing their faces closely. Father certainly is persistent, isn't he? Although you were concerned, it would take them ages to search everyone in the crowd, especially when anything exciting happened below and everyone stood up with cheers. You brought your cloak up. Ed covered your face, while keeping a watchful eye on the knights. Getting up and leaving would only make you look more suspicious and attract their attention. And besides, there's likely tens, if no, maybe even as far as 100 guards swarming the streets of the city, searching for you, all at your father's behest. Once they got close enough, he'd take off, but for now, he just wanted to savor the freedom he had and enjoy the fights. Take him down! That's right! Right there! He took on a bubblegum accent, or I don't know. What's that thing where they always make you left turn? Despite the inspection, he still lost ambitions and became swept up in the excitement of the crowd. The fight was quickly over, and the losing gladiators were dragged off the floor of the arena, while the winners rose their hands in the air to the cheering and booming crowd. The announcer stepped up to his podium and drew in a deep breath to speak out of his bullhorn. Wonderful! Such an absolutely wonderful performance from our gladiators, and there is so much more to come. I need not remind those who have won this match that glory and gold go to those who make it to the end of this arduous competition. Let's take a moment to offer our prayers once again to the god and goddesses for their blessings. Someone putting religion in games again. The man's voice boomed through the stadium, quieting down the crowd, but you could tell that people were getting antsy. They wanted more action, they wanted more violence, they came here for entertainment, and they didn't want to stop. The announcer was quick to catch on though, and kept his prayers short to move right into the next event. Now then, let's announce our next fighters. Hailing from the town of Line is Abork the Slick. The lithe man in leather armor stepped forth with pride, twirling a short sword in each hand with deft grace. Despite his small stature, he was hard to miss due to the colorful cloth wrapped around his torso. He may be 5'2" and thin as a razor, but don't let his size fool you. He's quick on his feet and been the folly of many confident fighters. But how will he fare against our other competitors? The crowd turned towards the rising of Metal Gate as another man walked onto the field from the opposite end of the stadium. He was covered from head to toe in full metal armor, polished so brightly the sun bounced off it from all angles, nearly blinding you. We have a treat for you today, folks. Following the footsteps of his father, he holds skills unparalleled in the kingdom and aims to become head of the house one day. It's the illustrious noble knight of House Praying, Magus the White. Why you ask me why? The knight strutted forward, and with confidence and dignity befell one of nobility. He waves towards the cluster of women in the crowd, and they scream his name. Will this be another badge of honor on his numerous and growing list of achievements? Okay, he's one of the guys. Your eyes quickly darted between the two fighters, but became distracted by a when you spied the last combatant entering the ring from the entrance in the area right below you. All you saw was his gray, broad rampart of a back, covered with muscles and littered with scars. Thick brown hair bounced with heavy gait as he stopped by the two with a menacing cross-arm pose. He wore leather armor that did little more than lightly cover his body, showing off more impressive stature and rippling muscles. If it was trying to be intimidating, it was clearly working by the way the other two fighters took a half step back. Although, if you were to take but one he'd be out. Still, you knew exactly how this fight would turn out. You'd seen it so many times before. In fact, he was one of the reasons you wanted to sneak out of the castle in the first place. His fight was one you didn't want to miss. And last but not least, our final contestant. He comes all the way from Horan, a hulking brute of a beastman who has seen many battles here in the Colosseum. Can you feel the ground rumble as he walks? The weight in the air as he stares you in the eye? This is none other than the only Ramos, Butcher of the Colosseum. The rhino stomped his foot on the ground, raising his hands in the air, and belted out a guttural roar that was just as loud as the crowd. The crowd went wild, raising their voices and cheering even more than they cheered for the other two combatants combined. The man started on the stalls, taking money up for bets. Wait, a man. And who would win the fight. Man, that would be kind of hard in this crowd. While you would have liked to join in, the fact that knights were still roaming around meant you had to remain as quiet and inconspicuous as possible. And besides, there's no need to. Being a prince meant that money was never an issue for you, so the heart-pounding risk, the whole allure of being on edge, of winning or losing it all, just wasn't there. I don't know, I feel like wealthy people and stuff like that really do like gambling. That was the ruination of many lords and kings and stuff, I think. What's this? Who is this beast, and why is he here? The shimmering noble knight lifted his face guard to speak to the announcer, his voice shaky, unbefit someone who called themselves a knight, and he seemed to have lost all of his confidence. I demanded an answer. I was told this was the last match, and was to be a one-on-one fight of grace and honor. Is that what you're told? Yes. I demand to speak with the organizer, and ask that this match be changed. I'm afraid that will not do. This match has already begun, and you have taken to the battlefield. I think of this as an opportunity to gain both greatness and prestige. Should you succeed in taking down the pride of the Colosseum himself, then there's nothing left to fear. The knight looked back to Ramos, and you could see fear in his eyes. Very well. He is but a beast after all, and I shall tame him as such. Ooh, tame me, daddy. Ooh. What? I'm top, right? Don't look at my FA. The knight slammed down his face guard, unsheathed his sword, and stood to the ready. Wasn't somebody the white one of the guys? Now then, let the battle begin! We can't say rumble because that's patented. Blow after blow, the two knights would only focus on defense as they're smacked to the ground mercilessly by Ramos. They were more akin to flies than fighters as they scurried around the battlefield, avoiding being knocked out by the enormous beastman. As much as he wanted to focus on the fight, he still had to keep one eye on the knight, who still hadn't given up the search. Some women have even gone out of her seat and was smacking one of the knights away with her shoe for tearing apart her shawl. Ooh, that's gotta hurt. I'm afraid Sir Magnus the White is going to be Sir Magnus the Black and Blue in the morning. The dust was already settling as you turned your attention back to the fight below. It appeared that the heaviest beastman had finally caught that shining knight. Magnus was lying face down with Ramos' entire body pressed on top of him, pinning him to the ground. Ooh ooh. His one shiny armor was heavily dented, marked up with scratches, and covered in dirt. He may be big, but don't let his size fool you. This will be a lesson to never turn your back to a charging rhino. Ramos had the strength of 1,000 men. He was as tall as a great oak, and wide as the Great Wall. Okay. Or so the rumors went. But even if they were all just spun myths, beastmen were not things to be trifled with, especially one of Ramos' size and stature. The audience waited to see if Magnus could escape such a fate, but when he showed no signs of movement, it was clear that it was all over for him. His zealous fans wailed in distress, with makeup muddying their faces over the fall of their handsome and noble knights. They spat in disgust and called the rhino a cheater, among other colorful insults geared towards beastmen. Sorry, my nose was all of a sudden like, eh. He simply smiled. It was always a joy to see some stuck-up nobles getting knocked down a few pegs and get pegged, ooh, especially from those from House Brain, who had a well-known history of hating beastmen. Oh, but would you look at that, the fight isn't over yet. The other gladiator saw this was a perfect chance to strike. While the rhino was still hunched over the fallen Magnus, he charged toward and leapt into the air with both blades poised. Watch out! You wanted to cover your eyes, but you saw the sly grin spread across the beastman's face. Gwah! Whack! Ramos shot out his leg with a well-timed kick from behind, threw his assailant off balance. The blades nearly grazed into the rhino as he whipped around and finished his opponent off with a solid punch to the gut. Could they be poisoned? No. Aborn was sent sliding backwards before tripping over his feet and rolling into the dirt to a stop. When the dust had settled, he's clutching his stomach, coughing and groaning in terrible agony. What a blow for Ramos! One hit and he's down. Ramos cracked, his head to the left, his head left to the right, and then strutted forth to the falling gladiator, kicking inside the blades in his wake. Is this it for Aborn? Will he get up? The gladiator tried to get back up, but after the last punch, it was easy to see that he was nearly ready to pass out. He started to crawl away from Ramos as Ramos approached, and the crowd cheers grew into bitter shouts. They wanted more of a spectacle than the one shown, and frankly, he had to agree. But it was clear to see that the fight was over. Just as Ramos was about to begin the fight anew, the man removed one hand from his abdomen and slowly raised it above his head. That's it. Aborn has had enough, folks. Ramos scoffed and spat to the side in annoyance before turning to the crowd and raising his arms in triumphant roar. Despite the lackluster fight, the crowd still went wild with excitement. Always a blowhard, I see. The bench groaned as the man beside you shifted in the seat. His gruff appearance and voice took you a bit by surprise, as you first thought that the seat he was in was empty. Although you didn't turn your head, he appeared to be a very large man, with armor that rattled as he moved, and tufts of fur protruding out between his cracks, hinting that he could be a beastman. Out of the corner of your eye, he appeared to be quite muscular, with biceps easily the size of your thighs. The lion guy, I guess? A long, slender tail flicked near his feet, occasionally bristling against your legs, confirming to you that he was a beastman. Someone like him, though fitting the seat, would have alerted you, but then again, your attention was already pulled thin by the fights, the roaring crowd, and the smellsome knights shifting around. Speaking of those knights, though, the hairs on the back of your neck rose on end as you locked eyes with one of them. You're ready to flee, but rather than continuing the speech, he instead stopped and stared for several moments before turning to leave the stadium. As he left, he took the other knights with him. It almost appeared as though they recognized you, but why did they suddenly just leave? You couldn't imagine Father giving them the order to just find you and not carry you back home, kicking and screaming. Perhaps they were searching for someone else entirely? Still, it was strange. You know, too much bravado can lead to your downfall. Huh? It appeared that the man to your left was talking about the crude display Ramos was presenting from below. With Magnus's helmet in hand, he pretended to slam it against his groin multiple times in a perverse way. You couldn't help but chuckle, though. A little of pride never hurt anyone. Have you played Darkest Dungeon? It's a slow and insidious killer. But overconfidence, that's it. I suppose you might be right about that. Still, it's quite a barbaric display, even for him. When the rhino was finished with his boasting, he tossed the helmet aside and strode off the grounds. Well then, I take it you had your fill of action? What? Still haven't recognized me? Suppose all this commotion does tend to all the senses. What I'm saying is that it's time to go home now. Prince Balls. Your heart, plummeted to your feet as the man whispered those last two words in your ear. Who was this man, and how did he know your name? Better yet, why did he make the assumption that you're the prince? No, that was a stupid question. You just now recognized this beastman's voice, and had an idea who it was, sitting next to you all this time, but refused to acknowledge it. Still, you had to face the music. You slowly turned your head to properly and woeful greet your neighbor. It's weird when you read a sentence halfway through. Shit. You're about. Wait, did he blink? Oh, I guess it's, animated stuff. Yeah. You're about to hightail it out of your seat, but the beastman pushed you right back down. Sit down. You're not going anywhere without my permission. His muscles tensed as he gently dug into your arm, holding you firmly in place. You weren't getting anywhere anytime soon. Thought you could just leave the castle and not get caught, did you? I think it's safe to say you're in a lot of trouble when you get back home. You're always siding with my father. I thought you're supposed to look out and cover for me. Isn't that what an older brother is supposed to do? I'm your Kingsguard, not your scapegoat. And you know that I'm not your real brother. Which means we can do ooh-woo. It's more like a stepbrother or something. You turned your head and flicked your tongue. We go through this every time, Balls. You can't just leave the castle without first informing me. Felt like you would have let me go if I'd asked anyway. Well, no. Today's important, and you know that. Your father has been waiting patiently all day to see you at the party. All throughout the city, celebrations programmed through the streets and in taverns for your 20th year of life, with grand and highly exclusive party reserved for nobles being held up at the castle. So is it like just a regular birthday party, or is it like, I don't know, a name day kind of thing? Because 20 seems to be old for like, I don't know, a name day. Well, you never cared much for it. Your father always ensured it was a day to be celebrated. But it was less of a celebration for you, and more of a way for him to show off and stroke his ego. While the common man would have killed for an invitation to the castle, with that vast selection of entertainment, world-class cuisine, and fine drinks provided, you knew that what really waited for you there. Pretentious, pompous, partitions who would badger you with useless questions about what you do when you become king, and try to curry your favor as much as you could for their own benefit. As much as they could. It was a disgusting display of gratuity and bootlicking, I think that would be bootlicking, that you wanted to have no part of, not on print screen just in case. Well then, Balls, are you ready to go? If I say no, will you let me stay? No. I suppose I would have then had to carry you over my shoulder, and I'm sure you wouldn't want that. I don't know. How did you even find me anyway? Stalling for time now? That look. Corisho informed me of your whereabouts. What? But I thought you left the city a few weeks ago. I mean, I haven't seen him forever. How can you possibly know where I was? You should be surprised what he knows. I've been trailing you ever since you left the castle. You've been following me all this time? I thought it would be nice to let you have a bit of fun on your birthday, at the very least, but now it's time to leave. Well, it's very thoughtful of you, but I really don't plan on going back home yet, just to feel my father's wishes were fulfilled. And just what do you plan on doing? All at once, the crowd roaring began, and flung themselves from their seats to cheer on the commands below. The tension around your arm began to loosen as Lian, turned his attention to see what all the fuss was about. Despite Leandro's ever-vigilant guard, he had a tendency to get a bit jumpy and distracted around loud noises. grant you the perfect opportunity to make your escape. Your arm slipped out easily from his hands, and before you knew it, you're free from his holds. Balls! Don't you dare! He had little time to catch you, but it was too early to celebrate. His claws had just enough reach to tear into your fabric cloak, pulling you back. Yeah! You nearly tripped, but the cloak kept you from falling down. Though it was pulled taut against your neck, cutting off your circulation. The cloak was a lasso around your neck, and lianos began to reel you in, leaving you bucking like some kind of wild horse. Balls, you're making it harder on yourself than it needs to be. Your face grew blue and cold from lack of air, though the lion likely didn't even realize in his zealous arrest. Any moment, you were likely to pass out, but you couldn't let that happen. You couldn't let him catch you and take you back home. You clawed at the cloth-like leash wrapped around your throat and dug your fingers into a hole through it. Using all your strength, you ripped at it, tearing you free and leaving Leandros with nothing but a tattered remains of an old mantle? Balls! Leandros was flung backwards, and you stumbled forward. People cursed as you blocked the view, but your only concern was getting to the exit first. You never bothered looking back as he continued to yell at you. You just need to make it to the stairs and get out of the Coliseum as soon as possible. You finally reached the edge of the aisle and jumped out, though you noticed a large figure at the top of the stairs, already bolting down. How the hell? Balls! Enough of these games. It's time for you to get back. That's scary looking. Grrr. Don't resist. You know you can't get away. He might be a beastman, a being that was quicker, faster, and more agile than you, but wearing such heavy armor, and in such a crowded place like this, even he would have trouble catching you at this point. He looked down towards the bottom of the stairs and contemplated making a leap. It was a long way down. If you didn't land properly, there was a chance you might break a leg, but what other choice did you have? Balls! Without wasting any more time, you jumped down the steps and landed on your feet with a painful thud. A sharp joint of pain jolted up from your feet, coursed through your legs, and rang to your head like a bell. So you can't land like Ezio. It hurt like hell, but you didn't have time to let yourself be bogged down by the pain. You glanced back up at Leandros through gritted teeth and smiled. It was a rather gutsy move, but you managed to somehow safely pull it off. With that much distance between both of you, he couldn't catch you this time. He stared right back at you with wide eyes, looking far more concerned than furious. If it wasn't for the crowd's constant cheers, you probably could have heard him berating you for such a dangerous stunt, though you'll likely hear it face to face with him later. Before he became aware that the two of you were still in a game of cat and mouse, you continued moving, fleeing out of the Coliseum into the city streets. That looks very much like a modern-day city street. Leaving the area behind, you went through the streets of your city. Havana. Every road was amassed with people, carts, animals, all waving around each other to make their way to their own set destination. This is the busiest district of the city, as well as the most hectic time of the day. Not even a mouse could weave themselves through this endlessly shifting maze without getting stepped on. You glanced behind your shoulder and caught sight of Leandros rushing out of the Coliseum, his entire body shifting around frantically. You ducked behind the cart and watched him from a distance. He shut his eyes, as though he was in concentration, and lifted his nose up. Despite the scents in the air being filled with sweet foods, savory spices, pungent smoke, and perfumes, and other not-so-pleasant scents, he still rotated like a compass until he was facing you, and then opened his eyes. How does he always know where I am? Beastmen always have sensitive noses, but this was ridiculous. He was a cat, not a dog. Still, it would do him little good if he couldn't actually catch you. Between the two of you was a large crowd, and a man his size and stature, wearing that armor, would have difficulty try to push his way through. Balls! Stop running! Leandros pushed his way forward, apologizing the entire way as he wiggled the mass of people and scampered out of way of a horse-drawn carts. Are they drawn by horsemen or horses? Some actually moved and gave him passage, but most stood their ground and sneered. You ducked low, hoping to lose sight of him, and watched through the crowd until you managed to squeeze your way out from the marbled streets and into deserted alleyways. Left, then right once more. Without thought of direction or knowledge of your location, you just kept moving, winding through another maze of this time built of brick and mortar. The passageway echoed with your ragged breaths and clack of your shoes, almost as loudly as the pound of your heart in your ears. Leandra's voice was but whispers now, but even with the distance that you gained, you knew that it would do little to stop him. When it came to a game of cat and mouse, he could go on for days without breaking a sweat, while you would be panting on the floor, completely tuckered out. Yeah, I need to actually read. With as often as he chased you down, you should have gained more stamina, but even now, you're ready to take a breather. But you had to keep moving, to keep pushing yourself until your feet were sore and shoes were worn down. I bet he'll think twice before dropping his guard again. Suppose father will have to... You smacked head first into the back of what appeared to be a large man. The soft surface gave way, sinking your face into it ever so slightly before you were slung backwards. Don't know who this is. It didn't hurt much, but your nose didn't appear to be broken. But your tongue was a bit swollen now from nearly biting it off from the sudden halt. The man you bumped into grumbled aloud, clearly not amused. Oi! Why do you boys thought it was funny to whack me from my eye, eh? The heavy figure twisted around, nose twitching, dark eyes peering down at you menacingly. Huh? He seemed to be a mouse beastman, or maybe a rat? It was sometimes hard to tell exactly which when it came to the differentiating beastmen of similar species. But you knew exactly just how dangerous it was to mistake them for each other. It's always in your best interest to remain silent about such matters, and not be racist. Just like calling another nasty name, it was the same here as calling a beastman as the wrong species could easily lead to a life-threatening rumble with an agitated beastman. And he has some very red, chest hair. So, use the mousy who did this, huh? Mousy? That's racist. His condescending tone, and as he called you mouse, made you believe that he might have been a rat after all. He leaned in to have a better look at you, with his lips parted in a toothy smile. Something didn't sit right about that smile. He clearly wasn't somebody you wanted to mess with. He towered above you, his broad shoulders and sizable arms, a large gut that peeked out of his clothes. He took a quick huff from a cigar with his hands and drew a small cloud of smoke through his teeth. They're blue. Well, looky what we have here, boys. Another little mousey come to play. Hello? You took a step back from the stout man as ominous chuckles bounced off the alley walls, and heavy footfalls from all directions followed after. From behind that rat, a pair of shadows strutted forth, and out of the corner of your eye, you spotted even more forms closing in from behind you. In a matter of seconds, you're surrounded by a group of disheveled and roguish rat beastmen. You looked around for a way to escape, but all exits were sealed by the rats, slumped near the wall, was a man clearly passed out. He looked to be a noble, though through the bruised face, ruffled hair, and dingy clothes, said he might have been down on his luck, possibly from running with the very same gang you are now flanked by. Yous lost little mousey, need help find your way home? I don't know why I took that other accent. Your attention was pulled away from the man and back to the cigar-smoking rat, whose smile only widened at your new discovery. He likely was the aggressor of this poor man, evident by the smidgen of blood on his knuckles. And seeing how compliant the others were, given him quite the birth of space, he figured he was a leader as well. It seemed as though you were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and now you had discovered some kind of shakedown. It was unlikely they were going to let you pass without some sort of trouble. You steeled yourself for what was about to happen, as the guys like these preyed upon the weak, and you weren't about to wind up like the man on the ground. No, I'm quite fine. Was just about to stroll off now. I'll take my leave. As you tried to take another step back, the rat noticed once, and you heard the rats match your step forward. You gritted your teeth and glared at the rat, whose wily smile told you there was no escape. You sure? You's got the look of someone who might be in a bit of a bind. But I'm a generous man, like one of those, saints or priests. I help you those in need. 'Cause even churches have their ties, and my help doesn't come free just the same. The way the others laughed in unison made you question if they were a pack of hyenas in disguise. Yeah, I like yeans. Thank you for the offer, but really, I just need to make my way through here and... A deep exhale of the cigar smoke from the rat's mouth was all that he needed to silence you. You simply smiled and watched as he coughed heavily, suffering as the smoke invaded your lungs and stung your eyes. Now, no need to be shy, little mousey. We all need a little help every now and then. And it just so happens to be your Lucy Day that yous ran into me. Somehow you felt that his version of being lucky was different from yours as he glanced at the man again. Worried about him? Well, ain't you a cutie? You see, I just find it funny, I'm like, yous see how yous doing. You see, we just got finished cleaning a bit of the rabble of the city. These here part of the city is quite dangerous, especially for a little mousey. Why, he was all acting all high and mighty, saying all the wrong things. He even had the audacity to call us mice. Mice, of all things! You really think that someone like that should be roaming the streets? Being racist? Racism is the worst crime around here. We did use and the city a favor here. Of course, there's plenty of monsters looking in the shadows, so it ain't safe for yous to be going alone. So I'll tell you what, for a low price of 10 gold, I'll let yous out of here. And don't worry if yous don't have it on your person at the moment. We take installments too, with interest of course. Me and my boys will see us safe to the end of this here alley, and right to the door of you's comfortable, safe little home. Now, how's that sound? Really, I'm good. You'd best think over your woods carefully. We have installments of $5.95. I'm just thinking of him being just rambling on about stuff. We also have a free payment plan. Or you could have easily paid this obvious shakedown with a coin in your purse. The real worry was actually taking it out. Money was no object to you, being a prince, so you always went out into the streets loaded with coins. On the off chance you didn't have enough change on you. Father would never let you buy something yourself, so you'd have to take it upon yourself to see what wondrous items the markets and merchants had to offer. You shuddered to think of that these greedy thieves would do if they found out how much coin you're currently carrying. You curse yourself for not betting it all away on the fights earlier. So, what's it gonna be, eh? Little mousy. I mean, I would not do either, but I feel like the lion guy's gonna come out any second now. Money was no concern to you. If you gave him the coin, then maybe he would let you pass without any difficulties. Alright, I'll pay. You's made the right choice here, little mousy. We don't want anything bad to happen to you's on the way home now, wouldn't we? Reach for your purse at the side and loosen it from your belt. Its hefty weight, a grim reminder to never carry this much coin again. Even before you open the bag, you could see the beast man's face beaming with glee. His eyes went wide and mouth slack. With that kind of expression, it is more likely that he'd more money than ever seen in his entire life. Now, where did a little mouse like you get so much money? The rat wiped the corner of his mouth, where a bit of drool was lightly leaking out. It's a good thing you came to us. It would be a shame if something bad would happen with all that coin. Now be a good little mousey and toss it here. Toss, you say? Just as the rat's grubby hands were about to reach forth, he flung the bag high into the air. Oh, what? Oh, okay. I guess we could take it that way in the 5 easy installments of $5.95. The coins flew free from their clothes cage and pelted down on the streets in a gold rainstorm of riches. The streets sparkled like the sun, and all around you, the rat's ears twitched at the glorious sound, entirely entranced by the gold. With the rats distracted, you made your escape, turning on your heels and running back the way you came. You son of a... That's not how you give people gold! You could feel the grubby claws of the leader of the gang on the crooks as he tried to reach for you, but all he grabbed was air. There was even more rats from behind you, but you didn't have time to think. You only had seconds to take advantage of the distraction. I mean, I guess they could try and kidnap you, but like, I don't know, if you toss a whole bunch of money into the air, I think they'd be like, oh goods, all this free capital right here. We will be able to invest in the newest nightclubs. 2 rats blocked your path ahead of you, but you could tell they were clearly eyeing the coin you had dropped and wondering whether to stop you or grab a handful of gold for themselves. For the coin, you bozos, don't let him get away. The boss's words were enough to snap the 2 out of the daze, and their eyes locked onto you. But despite the ample warning, their pudgy bodies were slow and their arms were short and stubby. You picked up speed and got down low, hoping to slide your way between the 2 of them. Yeah! Nutballs. They might have been idiots, but they seemed to have look on their sides. You thought they would have swiped at you with their stumpy arms. You guessed wrong. One of the henchmen leapt forward, but his belly was shaking like jelly, and his mouth agape in doubt as his entire body slammed you into the cobblestones, trapping your leg under the weight of 200 pounds of fat, muscle, and foe. Boss, I got him! Good, keep him here, and don't let him squirm out. I'm trying to get his capital. He struggled on the rat, but it was clear that he was far too heavy for you to move. His partner quickly joined in, increasing the weight on your body and nearly knocking the wind out of you as he joined the cuddle puddle. That's it, boys. Show him what happens when he tried to run from us. Even though he paid, like, all his monies. 7 more rats joined in on your capture, holding your legs down and pressing forward onto the hard cobblestone pavement. You could barely breathe, and you were hard as the stone below you. As you pressed into the ground, desperately, you tried to move, but their collective weight was too much. Get the ropes and tie him up. We got a lovely little mouse here. You kicked with your legs, despite desperate to connect with someone as rope coiled around your ankles and bound them together. Help! A dingy rag was plunged into your mouth and tied around your head, cutting off your cry for help. Despite the danger you're in, you're still slightly concerned where it had been and wished they had at least used a clean one. Now, no yelling. Let's use our indoor voices. No need to shout when we're all within earshot. Well, what are the three of you doing standing around for? Go keep watch. I don't want no one sniffing around here. Yes, sir. And use, pick up the gold he dropped. I don't want a single coin left behind. Right away. I have no idea where my, accents are going. You are scurried about to follow their leader's orders, while your pleas remain muffled by the gag. Should just listen to us, then we wouldn't be needed to give you the extra treatment. Just sit tight, and it will all be over, and who knows, I might not just ruin the pretty face of yours with that little stunt. You turned your head to meet their gaze of the boss, who took another puff of the cigar and let the ashes fall on your face. He seemed so pleased with his position, but you knew he would have it. You knew he'd have it coming. Leandros would be here soon to beat the crap out of this damn rat, and then he'd be sent to the dungeon for the rest of his miserable life, if he even deserved that. You just wondered what was taking the cat so long. You continued to squirm, hoping to wiggle your way out of the restraints, but all it gained you were rope burns. The rope was pulled taut one last time, and you could feel your limbs begin to grow cold and numb. Okay, boss, ain't going nowheres now. Good, now frisk him. I want to know what else he's got hiding under that cloak. At the boss's request, the rat began to search, tearing off your cloak and kneeing their hands into your body, hoping to find any other riches hidden within you. His dirty, sharp, cracked claws kneaded into you eagerly, causing you to wince in pain. You tried to kick with both of your feet to get the bandit away, but you had to admit they had you completely restrained. You know, ain't good for you's health to keep struggling like that. I hear it causes gray hairs. And also causes wrinkles too. You turned your face up to the rat once more and wished he was closer so you could spit in his face, which was your huge turn on. Just let me and the boys do the jobs, alright? No sense in trying to fight it, cause yous ain't getting out of them ropes. Besides, with all that coin you scattered, I bet yous got gold coming out of your ears, don't ya? Probably pretty hefty to be carrying all that. You should be thanking us for lightening your load. Hey boss, I think I might have found something. Yeah? Give it here. You only caught a glimpse, but you recognized the gold gleam and sigma of the medallion that the lackey handed to the boss. It was an item of utmost importance, the insignia of the Houston royal family. Only those born with royal blood would ever have the honor of holding one, that the individuals had selected personally by the king as trustworthy allies were ever granted one. Other than Leandros, your personal tutor, Miss Setor, Corleo, the king's council, and your father himself were the only few people in the kingdom who carried one. When presented to the right people, a whole world of privileges opens before you. But to any commoner, it was viewed as another shiny object that could be pawned off for an exorbitant fee. Well now, what do we have here? The rat's eye went wide as he examined the gold signet in his hand. And had a little mousey like you get your hands on something like this, eh? The large rat knelt down and gripped your chin, forcing you to look into his greedy eyes. So there's more than meets the eye with this little mousey, ain't there? What do you mean, boss? The rat let the pendant drop from his pawn and dangle by the gold chain, reflecting your disheveled hair, dirt-smudged face, and livid expression of its glossy surface. Done quiet, a bit of shakedowns through the years, and only ever come across this once. Though it was just some petty pendant at first, and I pawned it off for some quick coin, or I thought it was. Of course, after I sold it, I found out just how rare it really was. You see, only able ones carry these around, and not just any nobles. We're talking royals, those with connections to the big house. Not just anyone is given one. So, boss, and what's it worth? What's it worth? What's it worth? You can't put a price on something this valuable. I stupidly did. But, boss, I thought you said you sold it. Idiot! Were you even listening to what I said? I wouldn't have sold it off if I knew why I known. So, why it's so important if it ain't worth anything? I swear, it's like talking to a brick wall, you boys oil. Listen carefully. This little trinket, like this, might not be worth much to the common man, but to the right buyer, well, let's just say, we could live as royals for the rest of our days. Of course, it ain't that sort of thing you can go flashing around. They never give one to a beastman, so we'd have to be careful who to show it to. Wouldn't want anyone thinking we stole it, would we? You try to shake your head free from this grip, but he kept still. No need to get restless. It's very nice present, so I'll take good care of it from now on. So don't you worry. Also, I've suddenly become Australian. Because now, I'm curious how someone as young as you could even have such a thing. Must be some influential mousey to be carrying this around. And with that coronation or whatever coming up, I hear lots of nobles have been coming in and out of the castle. Maybe use one of those, a cousin of the king perhaps? Or maybe... Boss? Eh? What the hell's you want? Can't you see I'm busy here? Sorry, boss, but we've got trouble. Oh no, my dividends! The beastman dropped to your head and stood straight back up. Without any support in the chin, he slammed into the ground. No words were exchanged as the thunderous roar echoed throughout the alleyway, and a sound they were all too familiar with. While the rats seemed to quiver in panic, the hound from beyond renewed your hope. Damned rats, get out of my way! A pair of rats scurried forth from the ends of the alleyway. A look of terror plastered on their faces as they pushed one another out of the way. From around the bend, the shrilling shriek followed after them, stirring the frightened beastmen onwards. Idiot! I told you to keep watch! The rats ignored their boss, charging right past them as though their very lives were at stake, as you huddled into a ball to protect yourself from the stampede. Where do you think... what did you do with him? The lone rat struggled forth, limping on a leg that was about to give way. He's here. He reached forth with a weak arm, and he cried for help, but no one stepped forth to assist. I think that's a good time to call it, especially because I am short on time. Also, what is that? I don't know. But, yeah, unfortunately we're a bit short on time. So, that's going to be the end of this quick look. So, please comment, guys, like, comment, something you like, dislike, tips, tricks, otherwise. If you like my YouTube and likes to grow, then please like, subscribe, and check out the videos I've grown. Please from Spain to your animals to help control the pet population. But that's on the end of this one. Just yet. Guys, you have to figure out what's next week. Oh, and if you want to play this game, it's available free on itch.io, but if you want to support people that make this game and or get the newest version earlier, then go to their Patreon, where it's $2 a month. So, oh, and again, if you want me to do a Let's Play series with that game, then tell me, and I'll give a point which put up higher on the user's choice list. But now, let's see what's next week. Oh, and also while we're doing this, if you have any other quick look suggestions, then tell me, and yeah, I'll add it to the quick look thing. I've been doing a lot of these recently. Number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this one... Yeah, hopefully that's the exe file. Yeah, it's a bit loud. I should probably go into all of these and be like, hey, we're going to reduce the auto-woe. But yeah, Fatal Force, which looks extremely anime. Okay, Fatal Force. Like, it looks like something that would be... I don't know. What is that one game called? Persona or something? Or is it... no, I don't want to join that Discord. I'm looking for the Patreon. There it is. So, Fatal Force. A student who was attacked by a wild werewolf. How did that work in a furry universe? Was saved by another werewolf, who's a werewolf slayer. Oh. But unfortunately, the student has been bitten, and they must find out the werewolf's identity who's bitten the student before the full moon rises. In search of identity, they encounter many weird things and lead them to unexpected truth. So if you want to play this game, it's available free on itch.io. But if you want to support the people that make this game and or get the news version earlier, you can go to Patreon, where it's $1 a month. Hyena. And yeah, is there anything else? Right, quick looks. If you want me to do them, tell me. Let's plays, if you want me to do them, tell me. And until next time, another quick look. Me, GamerWolfSix, Fatal, for a visual novel. This one, Fatal Force, for next week. So, thanks and see ya.